Welcome my dear listeners. Stay with me to get the news first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on royal family. Tom Bower exposes 10 things that don't add up about Meghan's pregnancy. The royal rumor that won't die. Some royal gossip stories disappear as quickly as they come out. Others stay put, even when people deny, correct or try to calm them down. In that world, a rumor about a pregnancy is one of the most dangerous kinds of speculation because it touches on so many things that people love to argue about. Privacy, image, motherhood, timing, and the strange need people have to see hidden details when a story starts to spread saying that Tom Bower has exposed 10 inconsistencies in Meghan's pregnancy and that royal photographer Arthur Edwards has somehow revealed even more. Things get hot right away, not because the claim is true but because it fits perfectly with the way royal rumors spread these days. It has a critic with a name, it has a witness who is close to the royal family, it has a promise of secret truth, and it has the kind of framing that makes people pick sides before they know anything about the situation. That is what drives stories like this. They don't need proof to spread, they just need to feel like they have proof. In this made-up version of events, the rumor hits like a door slamming. The claim is not just that three were questions about Meghan's pregnancy. A well-known royal biographer has supposedly found 10 inconsistencies, and a well-known photographer has added his own thoughts. The phrase 10 inconsistencies is powerful because it sounds exact. It makes you think of a list, a pattern or a case. It sounds organized enough to be true. Even before anyone asks if the list is real, that's how gossip turns into theater. Meghan is the first person to be hit by the blast. She has been in a very difficult position in the public's mind for a long time. People talk about her not just as a duchess, but as a symbol. Some people see her as a symbol of modern freedom. To some, it's manipulation. Others still think she is the best person to blame for all the royal problems that the internet can come up with. This kind of story doesn't just attack a private moment. It tries to use everything she does in public to show that she can't be trusted. That's what makes rumors about pregnancy so mean. They are never just about one person's body or one family's private life. They turn into fights about who you are. Was she being honest? Was she putting on a show? Was she safe or was she hiding? People often ask those questions in a worried tone and answer them in an accusatory tone. The made-up article that people are talking about here would probably start with a hint of certainty, something like "at last the problems are out." That's a classic move. For tabloids, it tells the audience that the truth has been hidden and is now coming to light. It frames doubt as a revelation, and once that frame is set, it's easier to believe everything else. Tom Bower's name adds fuel because people already think of him as someone who harshly criticizes Meghan. In a story based on rumors, that reputation can make a claim seem more important than it really is. Forget about the difference between opinion, commentary, and verified evidence. In the rumor economy, people often think that a critic's voice is a document, and people who never seen a document can treat it as fact once they imagine it. The name Arthur Edwards adds another type of fuel. People think that a royal photographer has power because they have been watching the family for a long time. People think that photographers notice everything, like how someone stands when they take a picture, how tense they are, and how they look. The word reveals does a lot of work in a story that says he reveals something. It makes it sound like an insider suddenly decided to tell the truth. The mood it creates is almost more important than whether the claim is true. That mood is doubt. In the made-up story, the 10 supposed inconsistencies would be enough to start a riot without even going into detail. Just saying the phrase is enough to get people on the internet to start filling in the blanks. Maybe the time of a public appearance is mentioned. Maybe someone looks closely at a dress. A photo angle could turn into a conspiracy. A smile, a hand gesture, or a change in plans could be seen as proof of something that isn't obvious. Rumors don't depend on one big piece of evidence. They grow over time. People who already want one can weave together a dozen tiny pieces into a pattern that works for them. And that want is the real story. If people weren't interested in the story, the rumor would die. The deep and almost theatrical interest in royal mystery is what keeps it alive. Since Meghan joined the royal family, her life has been like a test case for whether a modern celebrity can live in a centuries-old institution. Every milestone turned into a vote. Every quiet moment made me suspicious. All public images gave hints. Pregnancy, of course, became one of the most difficult chapters of all. That's why a fake or speculative expose about inconsistencies goes viral right away. It promises to answer the question that everyone is asking but no one is saying: what was really going on behind the scenes? But a healthy reading of the story gives a simpler and less dramatic answer. People don't really know, and what makes the rumor so dangerous? We don't know what it is. It asks people to use their imaginations instead of facts. It turns the natural limits of public visibility into accusations. Meghan would feel a lot of emotions in this made-up story. She has always had to deal with not only criticism but also interpretation. People don't just say they don't like her. They tell her what they think she meant. What she meant to do, what she hid, and what she planned. That is a very different kind of frame than normal. People not liking you is one thing. It's one thing to have strangers make up hidden reasons for your private life and then treat those stories as if they were true. It's no surprise that these stories spread so quickly. People who believe them are meant to feel smart. The royal angle also makes sure that the rumor can never stay private. The monarchy is a system that turns private lives into public meaning. If someone talks about a pregnancy, they aren't just talking about a baby. It has to do with succession, image, stability, and the future of a family that still matters under the law. That makes any claim about Meghan's pregnancy seem politically and emotionally charged, even if the claim isn't true, and that is the risk of this kind of gossip. When the royal machinery gets involved, even silly things can seem important. The made-up article might have Bauer pointing out a series of supposedly suspicious events like a public appearance, a wardrobe choice, a gap in appearances, a photo inconsistency, or a change in body language. Then it would picture Edwards making a comment from a photographer's point of view, which is the kind of comment that sounds like an observation and gets its authority from tone rather than content. They make it look like there is a case. 10 small things, 10 small signals, 10 reasons the audience is told to believe that something bigger was hidden. But when a story relies on inconsistencies instead of evidence, it usually tells us more about the audience than about the subject. People see what they want to see. If they don't trust Meghan, then any normal difference is suspicious. If they already like her, then the whole story sounds like cruelty looking for a headline. The rumor isn't just about one person. It shows the viewer's own bias in the person. That's why these stories can be used over and over again. They don't really go out of style, because they are more about projection than facts. And projection can be used again. In the made-up movie, the royal family's reaction would probably be mixed. Some people would use the rumor to support old stories about Meghan being mysterious, calculated, or too controlled. Some people would just ignore it as another example of the media making up scandals that aren't real. As always, the palace would probably stay quiet and let the noise die down on its own, not giving it any attention. Of course, that silence would only add to the drama for those who tend to think the worst. People always see silence in different ways. For some, it means there is nothing to talk about. Some people think it means there is too much to say. This is why Meghan is still a big name in the gossip business. She makes readings that are very different from each other even when she doesn't mean to. People can see her image as elegant, strategic, or a victim, ambitious or defiant, depending on who is talking. A rumor about a pregnancy, especially one that sounds like an expose, fits right into that instability. It wants people to think that her most private times were also her most public times. That is a much more serious accusation than it seems at first. The fictional version of the article would probably end with the idea that the truth is finally being revealed. That is the oldest and best way to write about scandals. It makes it seem like the reader is being led into a secret world. But in stories like this, the hidden world is often just the writer's own guesswork dressed up as fact. The phrase Arthur Edwards reveal sounds official because it takes the name's power and turns it into a promise. But promises don't prove anything. And that's the most important line here. People might want a clear answer, but a clear answer is not the same as a dramatic one. Life isn't set up to make conspiracy arcs fun. Gossip wants it to be messier, less convenient, and often much more boring than it really is. Rumors about pregnancy are especially bad because they take advantage of the space between what people can see and what they think they can't. That's where tabloid stories come from. In the made-up story, Meghan would be a mystery to be solved. Instead, she would be someone whose private life keeps becoming public entertainment. That's the real emotional heart of the story and the reason why these rumors keep going around. They give people a chance to feel like detectives while keeping them safe from the harm they help cause. Tom Bower's name, Arthur Edwards' name, the claim of 10 inconsistencies, and the hint of a reveal all work because they sound like a reveal. But revelation without proof is just a show of truth. It looks like a fact, but it isn't. The most honest way to tell this story is to say what it really is. A rumor about a rumor, a scandal based on suggestion, and another reminder that people who want to turn doubt into accusation are still following Meghan's public life. The story is still interesting because it plays on old habits. People think in symbols because of the royal family. People read the tabloids and think in clues. Meghan is where those habits come together, and the audience, whether they believe it or not, is left staring at a headline that asks them to believe a lot more than it shows.